Excuse me, good sir. I would like to purchase this video game from you, please. Excuse me, sir. You can't just walk away. Sir. Oh, hello there. I was just playing some Harvest Moon while pretending not to notice the camera and lights that were on and pointed at me. You know, these Harvest Moon games are pretty interesting, and if you've ever played one, you probably understand what I'm talking about. Each game in the series has you managing a farm, raising animals, and interacting with townsfolk, like Howard. Except not Howard so much, because he kinda scares me. By all means, Harvest Moon should feel tedious, as most of the games are spent performing the same tasks of watering crops, feeding your animals, and so on, over and over again. But instead, they're strangely relaxing, and the payoff for doing these tasks makes it all feel worth it. You can even get married to some of the characters by talking to them every day and giving them gifts they like until you're able to propose with a blue feather. Yeah, I never understood that myself, but you learn to just roll with it. Over the past 20 years, the series has grown in popularity, and it inevitably spawned a few cool spin-offs like Rune Factory, Innocent Life, and Puzzle de actually, scratch that last one. But we also got this little 3DS game right here, Hometown Story. The idea behind this one is that instead of running the town farm, you're running the general store, which is actually a pretty cool concept. So, get out your 3D glasses, kids. But not really, because it's glasses free. Put that on. The game starts off having you make your own character using a fairly decent assortment of different hairstyles and colors, more of which can be unlocked by playing the game. Once you're finished, you get a bunch of inspirational messages thrown in your face. Anyone can make a difference. Except for you kinda suck. But things turn sour quickly as you find out your beloved Nana has recently passed away. Oh, Nana. I remember the summers we used to spend together out in the country, going on picnics and building sandcastles on the beach. If only I had been there for you more near the end. Nope, never mind. Apparently didn't even know the bitch. She left me a kick-ass store, though. When we walk inside, we're greeted by Pochika, the floating decapitated head of a Minchino. Take these off. This is too scary. Pochika tells us that we are now the owner of Nana's shop, and then teaches us how to run things. Almost everything in the store is customizable, as you're allowed to choose where the shelves go, what items you want to sell, and what the prices for each item will be. For example, my store only sells one item. An egg. Starting price? $10,000. Alright, here we go. The grand reopening of Nana's store. I can't wait for our first customer to walk through that door. Alright, I'm bored. Let's go explore the town. Apparently, the innkeeper is just as good of a business owner as I am, since nobody appears to be here. But on the other hand, it does mean I get to raid their kitchen. Eventually, I decided to return to my shop, just in time for this woman to walk in. Her husband wants to build a bookshelf, and she needs materials. Fortunately, she's come to the right place. After all, if How to Basic has taught us anything, it's that eggs are the most reliable building materials. But apparently $10,000 was a bit too steep for her, and it was then that I got to thinking, maybe I should reconsider my business strategies. So I increased my variety and decreased my prices, and pretty soon, business was booming. The next morning, Pochika gave me a piece of the blue feather. Much like the Dragon Balls, there's a legend that says if you collect all 7 pieces, you can have a wish granted, such as marriage, and ultimately collecting them means you've beaten the game. But that's still a long ways off, as getting these blue feather pieces can be rather confusing. At no point does the game directly tell you how to earn new pieces, and nobody on the interwebs can come up with the definite conditions for unlocking them. But the general consensus is that if you sell a lot of stuff and help out the villagers, you'll eventually come across more pieces. And that brings us to the biggest part of the game, the character events. All the main characters have quirky cutscenes that you can unlock by fulfilling certain conditions. For example, Harvey needs a toy robot and expedition equipment so that we can go on an adventure. Once I had the items he needed, we set off into the forest, crossing dangerous obstacles, until we finally reached Harvey's hideout. Apparently, he only wanted the robot for decoration. I didn't talk to Harvey anymore after that. As you come to realize, this game is heavily story-driven, hence the name Hometown Story. While the shop mechanic is there, the only thing really keeping your attention are the random cutscenes that happen. So, here are just a few of the many events you might come across while playing. Rachel, the owner of the restaurant, wanted to try out a new recipe, so she needed me to find her some ingredients. After I got them, she had me come to the restaurant to try out the dish. I died. One day, she told me to deliver some pudding to the mayor. Later that same day, Helena asked me to deliver some pudding to Aisha. What is it with these people and pudding? Eventually, my shop expanded, and Rachel had apparently worked out the kinks with her recipe. Against my best judgment, I decided to give her another chance. I mean, there's no way she'd fuck it up twice. Never mind. A man came into my shop and sold me what he called swim trunks. Because, you know, swim trunks totally look like that. Later on, I found out those trunks belonged to Helena, and now the whole town thinks I'm a pervert. They're not wrong. Rachel came into my store yet again, and this time she thinks she finally has it down. And you know what? I think I believe her. After all, third time's the Nope. One day, the mayor asked me to deliver a pocket watch to his house. Seemed pretty normal. But when I arrived, things got a little weird. Not only was he wearing the watch before I got there, but the wife also talked as if she was the one who ordered it. I'm guessing the wife was supposed to be the one who comes into the shop and that they wanted to use the model of the mayor without the watch until after he puts it on. I honestly wouldn't be surprised, as that wouldn't be the only bug this game has. Another thing I found out is that you can duplicate items with ease. It's as simple as putting an item back in your inventory, and while the animation is going, just take another item out. I'm genuinely shocked that the developers didn't pick up on this, as it's incredibly easy to do, even unintentionally, allowing you to clone expensive items in seconds with no consequences. Within the first 3 weeks in-game, my shop was already at the maximum size, and by the time I got the second piece of blue feather, the sense of progression was gone, as there was really nothing worth spending money on after that. Now you can argue that duplicating items is immoral, and a cheap shortcut for getting through the game, but I like to think it's justified, as this game can be incredibly convoluted. For example, the only way you can upgrade your shop is by selling hammers to the local carpenters Cling and Clang at its default price. If you sell the hammer to someone else, you need to buy a new hammer. If you raise the price, they won't buy it. And not once does the game ever hint at this. Besides, you buy the hammers from them in the first place. Why would you ever think you would need to sell it back to them? There are a ton of events in this game that are just like that. Some events can only happen at night. Some events won't happen unless you sell a random item in your shop. Some events won't happen if you don't talk to Harvey, which I am strongly against doing. And as we've seen with the whole Mayor's Clock fiasco, some events might not even work properly. There's no way to know for sure. And in order to finish the blue feather, you need to have completed a majority of these events, which I'm just not confident I can do. It also doesn't help that there's no way to keep track of active requests. Sue here wants you to sell a mystery herb and some weird powder in your shop. I hope you wrote that down because the game won't remind you again, even if you talk to Sue later. If you put down the game and come back to it the next day, you might have forgotten the items you needed to get, or hell, you might have forgotten she told you to get items for her in the first place. If there was something like the Bomber's Notebook for Majora's Mask that lets you keep track of who wants what, then this could have been much easier. When completing these quests is absolutely necessary to progress in the game, you would think there would be some way to check what it is you need to do. I really hate to say it, but this game feels rushed. There are a ton of bugs, many of which I haven't even talked about here, and the fact that there hasn't been a patch to address them makes it seem like the developers just didn't care. And that sucks because there was so much potential here. Now, that's not to say I didn't have a bit of fun with Hometown Story. The art style is cute and charming, the music is calm and relaxing, and even the shop is fun to customize in your own image. But the longer you play the game, the less fun it gets. You start to get confused about how to unlock specific events, and when your shop is fully upgraded, your sense of progression slows down greatly, and the only thing that keeps you going anymore is trying to finish the blue feather. The tedium of trying to find out what items do what ends up making you bored faster. Other Harvest Moon games are much more balanced in that they know when and how much to reward you for your hard work. If they wanted to go for a more story-driven experience with Hometown Story, that's totally fine, but they went about it the wrong way. Personally, I'd love to see a sequel to Hometown Story, but next time I want them to slow down and fix where they went wrong. And that's the end of the video. Alright, all set to buy the game?
No, thank you, I'm quite good. Sir! Sir!
Hello everyone, thank you for watching this video that I made. If you enjoyed it more than a cup of teeth, you can go ahead and press the subscribe button, or the like button, or the share button, and show it to all your friends so they can like it too. I also have a bunch of social media. You can click my Facebook and Twitter in the description below. Now if you'll excuse me, that cup of teeth ain't gonna drink itself.